Hey guys, this is going to be part 2 of the Sebenza video, one right after the other. We'll try to upload these as fast as I can so you guys can watch them one right after the other. But I was continuing talking about the lockup there being 50 to 75%, as in being normal speculations by Reeve. And so that's perfectly fine, and after talking to people on the forums and stuff, a lot of them say that they've had their Reeve Sebenza for several years, even decade or two, where the lock bar has not hit 100% to the opposite slab, and if it ever does, you can send in to Reeve, i.e. the spa, and have them fix it up for you and get it moved over and stuff. Um, One thing I'm going to note about the bead blasted titanium is that it's very prone to scratching. Anything will scratch bead blasted titanium. Um, so just be wary of that if you're going to be buying one of these expensive knives and you're going to be, scared of scratching it up. Sebenza is, translated to the word work. I forget off the top of my head. It's like the Zulu language or culture that Sebenza has originated from, and it just means work. So although this is a piece of art and it is an extremely expensive knife, it's meant to be used and it's meant to get scratched up. And if the scratches really do bother you, you can send in your Sebenza and they'll re-bead blast it and polish the knife and pretty much give it spa treatment and bring it back to life to new for you. As far as jimping goes on the knife, there is some really fine cut jimping that feels really good, but it's all aesthetic. It serves no grip whatsoever. You can feel the ridges as you rub your thumb over it, but that's exactly what's going to happen. It's going to slide right over. So the overall feel of the knife is great. I can't remember the user off the top of my head, but he did a review on a Sebenza, and the way he put it was just spot on. When you hold this knife in your hand, it feels like a knife, and it feels like a knife. And the reason why I say that is that companies like Spyderco, which I love, is all about functionality and you know for the knife to work. It's about functionality and it's about ergonomics and comfort, no matter how the knife looks. Like the Sage 2 here, you can see, it's very ergonomic. Palm swell, choils, and the way the thumb ramp is set up. When I hold this knife, it's an extension of the hand. I don't feel like this is even a knife in my hand. It feels like an extension. So when I say I'm holding the Sebenza and it feels like a knife, it feels like a knife because a knife is typically rectangular in nature and just something you kind of hold on to. I do have to say that the C cutout here is very comfortable, and there is a tiny bit of a finger choil-like roll here, and my index finger really locks into that tight, and the rest just kind of flushes into my hand. As you can see, the small fits perfect in my forehand, and it's just great. The overall blade is just the fit and finish over the whole thing is nice. The whole thing is filed and rounded, just very comfortable. A lot of people say that the 21 is more tactical. I'm not going to by any means say this is a tactical knife or you should go out and fight with this, but by tactical, not as in being used for tackle or whatever, but just the fact that this blade is more narrow to the point and it doesn't have as much sweep as some of the other Sebenza models. So in that retrospect, you can just say that this one's more pointy versus like the Sebenza regulars. So, and also the Sebenza regulars don't have this C-shaped cutout. They're more like these ridges. So if you want to see more of that, Google or YouTube it or whatever. Also, as far as the thumb stud goes, it is a thumb pyramid, and it's blue. It's coated with blue titanium nitrate. That's also on the pillar on here on the back, and also where the lanyard is attached here. Those are all coated with blue titanium nitrate, which is pretty cool. And that stuff does wear off over time. I've noticed on the clip, or I mean on the thumb pyramid stud here. And as far as opening, a lot of people complain about the thumb stud because it's pointy on the top, and like it's uncomfortable to set your thumb straight on. Unless you have some mean calluses, it's gonna feel weird. So my way of getting around it, can't pronounce the guy's name or quite remember it off the top of my head, but he says the proper way to open it that he heard from Reeve was actually from the outside. You were to push up with your thumb on the outside of your thumb, pushing up. For some reason, I can't do that. So the way I do it, which is it's very easy to open, is I take my thumb and I rest my nail inward. That's my cat. and you just push out, kind of softly, and then your thumb kind of rolls over onto the thumb stud as you take it out, and just listen to that click. I love that. Locks up like a tank. Absolutely no blade play whatsoever, and I love how far the blade seats in and touches the stop bar here. It's just perfect. So what Sebenzas are all about, perfect. And obviously on here the blade centering is perfect, and it's extremely smooth. I hear that people say there's a break-in period. I must have gotten lucky because this thing is just so smooth, and right out of the box. There was no grittiness or anything. I just love the sound of it closing, the nice clink of the metal touching the stop pin. I love that sound. The only con I can really find that is kind of annoying about this knife is on the lanyard. If you can notice this here, it's actually frayed a bit. On the top here you can see that little bit of frayed, and on the back here you can see that the lanyard's frayed a little bit. And odd enough, from what that's from is the tip of the knife. When I pull this knife out of my pocket and I pull the lanyard too far like this, the blade is actually cutting the lanyard and it's causing it to fray. And not really that big of a deal. And in fact, I'm probably going to end up taking this off sometime or another. It's just kind of been chilling in there. It doesn't really bother me. But by no means you need the lanyard. It just comes with it. So I've kept it on. But interesting, though, that, the fact that that kind of gets frayed from the actual tip of the blade in there, touching on it when I pull it out of my pocket, or it's just leaning forward or whatever. Also, that brings me to another point about this knife that I love is, man, this thing was so sharp out of the box. The sharpest knife I've had. I can't stress how polished this relief edge is. I have never opened a knife so polished on the edge. Easily the sharpest knife I've ever had out of the box, even more so than my ZDP Cali 3, which is just shocking. So this thing came razor sharp. They do say that the heat treat on this, on their S30B, I hope I mentioned that, this is S30B steel, that it's softer than Spyderco and Benchmade's heat treat on their S30B. So they say this will dull faster and it can't get as sharp, but man, did they polish the heck out of this edge. I have never had a mirror edge on a relief edge in a knife in the mail like this. And through several use, I have not touched it up. It's gotten a little bit duller, but it still slices, as you can see here. Very, very sharp, and it's still very sharp. This is after me sending it through tons of cardboard, plastics, and stuff at work. By no means do I use my knives extremely hard, but I mean, even through tons of cardboard, a knife's gonna dull, and that thing is still ripping through it. And just overall, just the fit and finish of this knife. As you can see on the frame lock here, there's like a double kind of U cut out for the locking bar, and man, just overall, this knife is amazing. $330 I paid shipped to my door for this. This is by no means a cheap knife. If you ever get the chance to buy one of these, or spend the money, I definitely do think it's worth it. And a plus also on this knife is that it's gonna hold value. No matter how old a Sebenza is, it's gonna retain a lot of its value. I know people on blade forums, several people who are willing to pay close to $300 for a Sebenza that's been used for well over 5-6 years, and you're still getting almost 80 about 80% of your money back, and that's like a well-used scratched up Sebenza that's been sharpened and everything. And those used Sebenzas are still perfect, maybe not as sharp or whatever, but hone your sharpening skills and you can bring that knife back to life and refurbish it and whatnot. These things do last a lifetime, and I do believe these things can outlive you. So those are pretty much my overall impressions of this knife, and I just think it's great. If I missed anything, or if you have any questions, just go ahead and shoot it in a comment below or in a message, and I'll try to get back to you. And just the more I use this knife over time, I probably will throw up other videos of this knife, just updating and whatnot, as far as how it's just treating me and whatnot. Also, another note too, if you are to take the lanyard off, this blue insert here, it kind of just rolls back and forth inside. So if you remove the lanyard, this blue thing actually just pops off. It falls out. I believe that's what it is. It'll just slide out. So that's just a little quick note. So hopefully it covered quite a bit of everything and all aspects of this knife and the comparison. I also do want to do a comparison of this and the Sage too, so watch out for that, guys. Alright, Chris Reeve Sebenza Small 21.